On the last day of summer in 2008, I came across a very strange online article. It was my brother who discovered it on the family computer and called me into the room to show it to me. It simply bore the name Gnome Sighting in Argentina, and attached to the page was a video link. It was a low-quality camera phone clip of some teenagers spotting an unnerving, just vaguely human figure in the great distance, with Philip Glass's Prophecies playing in the background and the video looping indefinitely. It garnered over 1 million views, and several mirrors with hundreds of thousands of views surfaced immediately after. It was my official introduction to something called YouTube, a site I was only vaguely familiar with before, and a newfound passion for cryptozoology online and the ambition to inspect, dissect, and discover what was really out there. But now, several years later, you begin to ask yourself, is there anything out there at all? It's this video's simplistic nature and the public's response to it that really shows how much we've grown as online users since 2008. It's safe to say that this looks quite silly now, but gnome sighting in Argentina ended up as national news in the United States and didn't just fool children like myself at the time, but the adults too. It became so controversial, even Snopes.com had to fact-check it. Gnome sighting in Argentina became a bit of a pop culture phenomenon on, well, that side of YouTube. And many other similar videos also shared that 15 minutes of fame, in a way that simply does not exist anymore. What happened to paranormal videos? These seem so fake in retrospect, yet they fostered entire communities, even industries, dedicated to solving or even discovering them. So what changed? Were we just dumber back then? Well, it's a combination of things, including the advancement of technology and the ever-changing culture of the online space. My TV just turned on there. The one thing that truly stands out about the early internet is the ambiguity that permeated the online communities. And it's no coincidence that this was also the time of Thanks.
Immerse yourself into a whole new world with Fishing Clash. This summer, join thousands of other players in clan games where you can create your very own villages, collect a variety of fish species, and choose unique fishing locations from all around the world.
Wow!
Fishing Clash is one of the most realistic fishing games for mobile devices. Become the top of the competition with your very own equipment upgrades and gameplay options to choose from. And the more packs you unlock, the more you can show all your friends that you have bigger fish to fry. And now's your chance for the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to indulge in Fishing Clash's partnership with Major League Fishing. Engage in real-life MLF tournaments played by 80 million people, all in the palm of your hand, where you can truly enjoy the luxuries of the new millennium. Viewers who download the game by using the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen and use NationSquid will get a $20 value reward and unique avatar free of charge. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Become a legend in your own right through Fishing Clash.
The thing that you have to keep in mind is that the internet was very different during the start of YouTube compared to how it is now. Now, this seems obvious from a superficial standpoint, but it really is the little things that make this distinction so much more apparent. Because the internet was so new, people didn't fully understand it as a standalone community or even understand what its capabilities were. So naturally, you have this, once again, ambiguity, where you find something a bit peculiar and you just don't know what to think of it. And worst of all, you don't know its origins or who is on the other side of the screen. It carries this unsettling, stagnant feeling in your body, as if you were watching something you aren't supposed to. This is what gave the early internet that sort of Wild West feel to it. For the very first time in human existence, we had instant access to virtually every documented person, thing, or event from any place, in the entire world. Naturally, we're gonna learn and discover things we didn't even know existed before, and maybe that includes ghosts? Cryptids? It was this type of thinking within online culture that helped create what many consider to be the very first ever creepypasta, the 1999 film The Blair Witch Project. Saying that this film was revolutionary would be an understatement. Despite having next to no budget or any visual effects, it not only created a whole new industry of filmmaking, but became one of the most successful indie films of all time. For those who aren't familiar, The Blair Witch Project is about a tape that was found on the ground in the middle of the woods. The tape contains a group of film students who are out investigating the origins of the Blair Witch, an alleged piece of folklore in the small town of Burkittsville, Maryland. And it was the first movie to be marketed almost exclusively through the internet. But it wasn't marketed in the traditional way. The creators of the Blair Witch Project created missing persons posters and placed them all over the internet, even urging audiences to contact their local police department if they had any information. About a week before the film came out, the Discovery Channel even aired a fake documentary about the origins of the Blair Witch. The actors in the film even used their real-life names for it to enhance the realism. And so when people saw the film for the very first time in 1999 and saw this disclosure at the beginning, they really didn't know what to think. So many people thought the Blair Witch Project was real. The parents of the actors even got sympathy cards in the mail. These rumors would quickly be settled once the actors started appearing on talk shows. But it was the marketing behind the Blair Witch Project that made the film so convincing and so terrifying. It is even considered by many critics to be the scariest movie of all time. And it's the fact that you don't even see the Blair Witch at all during the entire movie that makes it all the more convincing. It could have been anything that took those poor kids. The Blair Witch Project was one of the first mainstream internet hoaxes, and the reason it was so successful is because it understood the internet. It understood that mystique it carried. And when YouTube showed up, this amplified by orders of magnitude. Anyone could now upload any video they wanted at any time for free. Now there were a million Blair Witch projects. Is this ghost sighting real? Is this a real chupacabra? Because the internet didn't have the transparency, the precedence, or same level of public involvement as it does now, people just didn't know what to think or what to expect. They were exploring parts of the world that they could never fully understand without the internet. So of course, they're going to be more gullible. This is what created that side of YouTube. During the early days of the site, if you clicked on just one strange video, you would then be recommended a huge series of other strange videos. The more of them you clicked, the stranger it got, and the harder it was to get out of. And you've now entered a digital rabbit hole. Uh-oh, I'm on that side of YouTube again. You don't know who's uploading these videos, making them, or even why they exist in the first place. In retrospect, most of these were obviously nothing more than surreal art pieces, with some real exceptions, but consider everything we just mentioned about the mindset of online users. Picture yourself as a YouTube user in 2007 with this limited knowledge. Things start to get more cryptic. And it makes perfect sense why the early internet would be like this, because we've seen it with the primitive stages of other technologies before. A great example would be the early days of film. When Arrival of the Mail Train came out in 1896, there were alleged reports of people running out of the movie theater or even fainting because they thought the train was actually going to hit them. This sounds completely ridiculous now, but again, film was a new invention. Now, there isn't currently any known evidence that this is even a real story, amounting it to nothing more than an urban legend. But people did in fact faint and run out of the theater during viewings of Frankenstein and The Exorcist when they first came out. Legend or not, the fact that these claims are even a subject of debate in the first place reinforces the unknown that comes with something new. Hindsight is always 20/20. These films aren't exactly scary anymore. We are so desensitized to these things now, we often forget just how much we didn't know back then. This also applies to creepy videos on the internet. And another primitive technology that coexisted with this era of the internet also strengthens this concept. Video cameras were just shittier. Many of these videos weren't even HD. You could barely make out what was even going on in some cases, which allowed for the bar to be so low. You could better get away with bad editing, bad acting, what would otherwise be unconvincing props, etc. And just like with the Blair Witch Project example, this left more to the imagination for the viewer, therefore making it scarier and even more believable. I was rewatching Signs the other day, a movie I watched all the time growing up, and it's actually the inspiration for me making this video right now, particularly the birthday party scene. Every person I have talked to in my life has said that this is the scariest scene in the whole movie. It is a news broadcast of a video that was recorded at a birthday celebration in Brazil of a verified alien sighting. You can't exactly make out what it is, other than just a menacing black figure. Now, if you've never seen Signs before, this isn't really scary at all, but at the time, it was horrifying. It was indirectly taking elements from that early internet culture. A lot of the people who still find it scary are those who actually saw Signs back in 2002 and associate the scene with their early, distant memories of being terrified. Gnome sighting in Argentina also has a reasonable explanation to it. While we don't exactly know for sure what is going on here, it is most likely just an aardvark standing on its hind legs with its snout pointed up. But all we get is just really bad quality video of just a shadowy figure, and our worst imaginations kick in. It's also worth mentioning that duendes are a big part of Latin American folklore, which made this video more believable at the time. But there were also multiple takes of this video too, which kind of debunks the entire thing. But it didn't matter, because these types of videos were still popping up left and right on the internet. They got so popular and mysterious, there were entire TV shows dedicated to investigating them. The most popular ones were Ghost Hunters, Fact or Faked, and Destination Truth. Fact or Faked specifically focused on viral videos from the internet and recreating them to the best of their ability. They often used the exact same brand of camera, filmed at the same location, and put to test theories for how they think the video was created. Sometimes it was a success where they could confidently call something fake, and other times it was inconclusive. Now, obviously, there were people at the time who weren't scared of these videos and thought they were obviously fake. I'm not saying everyone was just gullible back then, but the gullibility was a lot more common than compared to now. Fact or Faked was a very popular show at the time. I even remember watching the first episode when it came out, and the popularity it had showcases another aspect of online culture that added to this suspension of disbelief. There was a much greater barrier to entry for creating well-made videos than there is today. Gnome sighting in Argentina came out just barely before smartphones were a thing. Camera phones were not nearly as common. Computers were a lot weaker. The average laptop at your local coffee shop could easily run Adobe After Effects. This was not the case in 2006. Not only were editing computers much less common and much more expensive, but so was the editing software itself. Back then, you had to buy Adobe programs as an actual product at the store, as one big purchase. Some other programs were as much as $1,000. Today, even your average computers are much more powerful, and Adobe has a subscription model, making it more affordable in the short term, even if it is more expensive long term. In 2006, the only people making these well-edited videos were people with the money and time to learn how editing works, or people actually in the film industry, uploading their works to YouTube. Nowadays, you can create these amazing videos just from your phone. That concept was unheard of in 2006, which made people all the more perplexed. Lastly, you could even argue that another component of these videos was both the medium and the audience themselves. Now, it wasn't just children falling for these videos, but a lot of them were, or at least coming-of-age adults still figuring things out. In the early 2000s, you still have a lot of leftover technology from the 90s, the decade this audience primarily grew up in. And children, well, they often get scared of things that are otherwise not that scary. They're more likely to fear the abstract, simply because they don't understand it. And a lot of these scary memories come from things they saw on TV back in the 90s, analog TV to be specific. And a lot of these early YouTube videos were still filmed on analog technology, so that audience is more likely to associate that medium of video with traumatic memories of fear, much like what people do with that scene in Signs. This is why analog horror is so popular now. It reminds people of the scary things they saw in their childhoods. But the reason analog horror is not as scary is because it is self-aware. It is now a well-known trope with novelty status. A lot of this analog media is scary unintentionally, which somehow makes it worse. And when you actually add a mysterious narrative to that, it compounds that fear even more. This is not analog horror. It's horror that just so happens to contain analog elements, which for many people subconsciously triggers a sense of dread. It was the obscurity, the technology, people's access to that technology, and their understanding and associations with that technology that allowed for paranormal videos to exist in the way they did, with a little bit of room for skepticism. While strange things still pop up here and there, and there are still communities that believe in the paranormal, we understand the internet so much more now. We know what people are capable of these days, and more people can access it and contribute to it in great quality than ever before. Now that everyone's doing it, it's not exactly special anymore. And you could even say that the death of convincing paranormal videos is an indirect byproduct of dead internet theory. There was so little going on during the early internet, it was hard to tell what was real or fake. Now, there is so much going on, it is once again hard to tell what is real or fake. Really, the only thing you can do now is just unplug. Try not to worry about it. It's just like with a phone. Unplug it, no one can reach you. The same goes for the internet. Hello?
7 days to download Fishing Clash.
Who is this? How did you get this number?
It's me, the new Jan Brady. Let's knock over a 7-Eleven.
A special thanks to my patrons and channel members for making this video possible.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and click the notification bell so that you never miss a future video.